The price of things around us are increasing astronomically. What does the President of the United States do? He calls this Bidenomics, and he says that it's working. Are you happy? I sure am. Let's begin.
Facts over tracks, isn't that spitting slow, spitting fast? I could roast, I could gas, think I'm okay at last, but I don't know if that can erase all the past.
A lot of people have their own opinions about the president. A lot of people knew about Biden's past in the Senate. That's why when he first stepped foot into the White House, many people, along with myself, knew that his presidency was going to be a total shit show. With a lot of people telling me to give him the benefit of the doubt and give him a chance to show that he actually knows what he's doing, that's kind of hard to do when most of his office consists of people that were formerly in the Obama administration. But that's besides the point. I have never made a bigger mistake in my life than to put some trust, even though it was less than an ounce of trust, into Biden. Looking at the state of the world, the state of the economy, and how every speech from him looks like his last. The point that I'm making isn't even to draw attention to how much a failure Joe Biden really is, but rather to make a point. Let's take a moment to focus on the state of the economy for a moment. A lot of people say that the economy isn't everything. To that, I say bullshit. I say that for two reasons. One, 61% of Americans own stock, which rose from 58% in 2016. I'm, of course, one of those people. And number two, the buying power of the dollar is something you encounter every single day. Whether it be filling up your car, buying food, or even buying the electric that you use to watch this very episode. Every dollar counts. That's why we should all turn our attention to how our money is being used by the government and try to reduce spending. Of course, this is something that the Democrats would never want to do. So let's see how the dollar is holding up to things that we buy every single day, like gas, groceries, and electric, all of which went up in price. Gas, for instance, in 2017, 1 year after Trump took office, gas was at $2.52. But how was it a year after Biden? $3.10 average. How about eggs? Those were at $1.79 1 year after Trump took office, and $1.92 a year after Biden. How about something that we all are using right now to watch or listen to this episode? Prices of electricity were 12.89 cents per kilowatt hour in 2021, compared to 15 cents a year after Biden took office. Wherever you look, all you see is all the screw-ups that Joe Biden is responsible for. But of course, he doesn't take responsibility for those. Instead, his administration would rather make up lies about how the economy is doing great. The Biden administration is not looking at the national debt held by Americans. If we do take a little peek and see, as of August 2023, $25.8 trillion is held by Americans. But in 2017, it was at $14.7 trillion. Two big numbers, trillions and trillions. But if we take a moment, we can actually see that Americans owe $10 trillion more now than they did under Trump. That means that people cannot afford their bills, so they just put it on a credit card hoping to pay it off later. This never happens, by the way. This is why it angers so many people when Biden says that Bidenomics is working. Is this your plan working? I don't want to see it fail then. Would a dozen eggs be $4.20? Oh wait, it already was. He failed the American public time and time again. With that being said, let's dig into the headlines of the week. Before we get into the headlines of the week, I do have an announcement though. We at Origo Studios are launching something special for you guys on December 1st, so be ready for that. To keep up to date on everything we do, head over to shop.origostudios.com and put in your email to be notified of upcoming announcements. That's a big giveaway right there, so stay tuned, and without further ado, let's dig in. So with that being said, we're going to be digging into a Daily Wire article. So the first article we are actually going to be reacting to is an actual Florida principal actually quitting because of the fact that he reassigned because of the fact that he allowed trans-identifying player on girls' team. Now, this is actually so funny because this is around the same exact time that the Daily Wire is actually releasing their movie, Lady Ballers. And Lady Ballers actually, and we're going to be reacting to the trailer soon, Lady Ballers actually goes over all the repercussions of actually letting a man on the women's team. And obviously, we know what a woman is. We found that out a couple years ago when Matt Walsh released his documentary because we had no idea what a woman was before that. And since now we know what a woman is, we now know that a man is not a woman. So a man cannot play against a woman because there's unfair advantages that men have against women. And we all know that. It's common sense. So it's just so funny that this happened around this time because, like I said, they're releasing their spoof on it and their comedy special on it, and it's actually happening as we speak in real time. It's just sad and pathetic that now in movies and TV shows where we see comedy, it's actually being a reality. It's just upsetting and deeply disturbing that we have now taken to this level. This is literally a Babylon Bee news article in real time right here, in real life. Now, let's continue with the article here. We have a Florida high school principal and other school officials have been reassigned amid an investigation into whether they allowed a trans-identifying male player play on the girls' volleyball team. The alleged incident occurred at Monarch High School just north of Fort Lauderdale. Principal James Cecile, Assistant Principal Kenneth May, Athletic Director Dion Hester, and volleyball coach Jessica Norton were all transferred on Monday the 7th. 7 News Miami reported. Cecil has worked in the district for the past 2 decades. Quote, the principal of Monarch High School and several staff members have been reassigned to non-school sites, pending the outcome of an investigation into allegations of improper student participation in sports. Broward County's public schools said in a statement, the district said that it will not comment further, but it will continue to follow state law and take appropriate action based on the outcome of the investigation. Quote, we are committed to providing all of our students with a safe and inclusive learning environment, the district said. And when you are so inclusive to allow men that just merely say that they are a woman into the women's sports teams, that is way too inclusive. It's like when you're in a boxing tournament and you're weighing yourself in, you're not going to sit here and allow somebody that is 300 pounds to be facing off against somebody that is 120 on the scale. That's exactly why you weigh yourself in, because we know that there is an unfair advantage in the amount of weight that you have. If we know that there is an unfair advantage in the amount of weight that you have, why is there not an unfair advantage when it comes to your muscle strength, the way that your muscles grow? The whole entire build of your body is dedicated towards being strong and having all of the testosterone to actually get things done faster, and your body is built like that. And it's just hard to even fathom the differences because of the fact that there's just so many. Every single thing that is true about girls are completely the opposite in men. That's exactly why when we have these ludicrous debates about men in women's sports, it's just completely beyond anybody's little fraction of their mind that this would ever be a possibility of discussion. It's just so beyond apparent that these things are self-evident that it's just crazy even talking about it at this point. That's why when some people have their head screwed on straight, as the schools are looking like, the school district is looking like, because they did put everybody responsible on leave, that's why it's just a big fresh air in a sigh of relief at this point, because of the fact that they're not standing by the people. They could be standing by the principal and the director of athletics. They could be standing by these people, but they're not, which is a really good sign in our direction. But again, you never know what they're going to say after this. They could be like, oh no, we finished our investigation and there's actually nothing wrong here, and then they could come back. But we should take this on a daily, day-to-day basis. And as of this point, I think the schools are being too inclusive. So that's a very big negative about the school. But also they put everybody responsible on leave. So that's a positive. So it's like one positive and one negative. Now it's just neutral. They need to do something else for me to form my opinion here. With that being said, we do have another article, and like I said, we are going to be reacting to Lady Ballers, the trailer. So, where can I see this? This is actually a Daily Wire article right here, and we're going to be reacting to the trailer right now. So, this trailer has millions and millions of views. It has 22 million views on Twitter already. So, with that being said, it has 22 million views on Twitter already. Or I should say X already. So without further ado, let's actually react to this trailer right here. I mean, obviously I have already saw the trailer.
In a world where women's sports is being transformed.
See, that's actually a good play on words right there because it's actually being transformed. Trans, get it?
Daily Wire calls foul with the most triggering comedy of the year.
And I see right off the bat right there. I love how happy the guy looks at the end right there. If we look at his face, it's just so funny. See, okay, so that's what I'm thinking. Every single time I see all of these like Leah Thomas and all these other guys and women's teams, that's what I'm thinking of. I'm like, why is this man on the women's team? Obviously, the man is going to be winning almost every single time against the lady. So it's just beyond me at this point. This is why this comedy needed to be done.
Guys, this is serious. Sports can be your pathway to a better life.
Well, like yours?
Please don't steal my catalytic converter again. Winning matters. It's the key ingredient in becoming a winner.
I know you should try it sometime. Are you gonna move?
I am not.
Let's cut to the chase. I know you're not a woman.
Hey, you don't know how he identifies.
You don't know how he identifies. That's one of the parts when I first saw this trailer. I'm like, oh my god, you don't know how he identifies. It was just this is just crazy right here. This needed to be said. This needed to be done. Again, this needed to be done.
You know about the US Opens for the Global Games?
You want us to compete as women. $5,000 prizes.
My lover says you were a great coach back in the day.
It's just so funny seeing Matt like this. It's just beyond. See, at first I'm like, who is this? Who is this guy? And then I realized afterwards, I'm like, this is Matt Walsh. This is just crazy. Even Jeremy Boring without glasses looks different. Like seeing people that normally have glasses and then now they take their glasses off. I'm like, oh my god, these people look completely different without glasses. Like I would not recognize them if I saw them on the street, even if Matt didn't have the wig on or Jeremy didn't have his hair in that certain way and he had it in his iconic signature look. I don't think I would be able to tell him out from the crowd without glasses on because I'm so used to seeing these people with glasses on.
Join.
This is the way the world is now. My 8-year-old daughter told me all about it. So, a guy...
This is how the world is right now. My 8-year-old daughter told me about it. Why is your 8-year-old daughter being taught this in public schools? It just tells you again. The schools are pushing an agenda.
I can become a girl with no physical changes at all.
Oh, that's called gender fluid.
So I can be a woman on the court and a man in the bedroom. I can't believe it. Nice!
You mean when you're sleeping?
Yes.
Coach,
Alex,
We could play basketball.
we'd have to get the whole team back together.
It's time
we're in.
I'm in. I'm in.
to play
Lady Balders. Mount up.
like a girl.
That's right. I'm with her.
Believe in my truth! This is my truth!
I mean, it's just crazy right there because now this guy is just crushing through all the opponent women's teams. The ball's crushing into this girl's skull, flying everywhere. It's just an unfair advantage right there.
Day one of being a girl athlete?
And this is a direct hit at, obviously, Dylan Mulvaney. Day one of being a girl. Oh, I already cried 5 times. So,
I love being a girl.
Two sheroes.
We could dominate every woman's sport. Running, swimming, soccer. I said sport, Felix!
see, it's okay. This is multiple layers right here. So, of course, a lot of people are saying that soccer isn't a sport. And yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying there, but it's even funnier because he's dressed in a girl and then he has, oh, I said, it's just like, it reminds me of the GameStop quote unquote girl. It's actually a man. The GameStop guy, he's like, it's ma'am, and he's, kick something over. It just reminds me of that guy. It's just so funny.
It's ladies basketball, boys. Nobody watches.
True. And it's just so funny that they have Joe Biden on one of the magazines sniffing the transgender's hair. It's just so funny how they did that.
Excuse me.
Ted Cruz is in here.
Never mind.
Getting dunked. And tucking trunks.
No, she didn't.
And then we can pause it right here and we can see. Okay, first, okay, this is just too much. At first, I didn't see this scene right here with Michael Knowles on the right hand side, and then we see Brett Cooper on the left hand side. They're just dressed like a typical Elizabeth Warren. It's just too funny. I just cannot wait to watch this. It's just crazy. Right off the trailer, I'm already dying laughing. So never mind a full feature length comedy special about it. So we can see that they're both dressed up in the Elizabeth Warren gear. And he's like, oh, people are going to freak out about that.
That's the biggest I've ever seen on a lady.
We can see Andrew Clavin. Oh my god, that is killing me. The biggest peepee I have ever saw on a woman. Oh my god. See, nothing tells the time that we're in like that statement right there. 2023 in a nutshell.
I don't care.
Lady
Ben doesn't care.
One can even be trans age now, which provides Sheelix with a wonderful opportunity to relive all the experiences that she missed out on in school.
Streaming exclusively on Daily Wire Plus December 1st.
Yeah, it's just crazy. I mean, obviously, Lady Ballers. It's just too good. It's way too good. That right there, I'm so glad that they're dropping that. It's magnificent. I mean, there's no other words. It's magnificent. It's original. This needed to be done. Like I said, it's actually happening in real life. And this is what people have to realize. This very thing is happening in real life on a daily basis. And people just want to turn a blind eye to this. And you cannot turn a blind eye to this because this is exactly what's happening in real life. This is what women have to face every single day in sports teams because of the fact that men want to join those sports teams thinking that they are an actual woman. They're not a woman, they're a man. They have an unfair advantage on sports teams that consist of mostly the opposite gender. It's just common sense right here. We're going back to first grade when we learned that a boy is a boy and a girl is a girl. Okay? So simple. So with that being said, we're going to actually dig into the media's takes. So, digging right into the media's takes, we actually have a CNN article. We have, what is no-fault divorce and why are some conservatives wanting to get rid of it? So, following what some conservatives view as legal victories on the battlegrounds of abortion rights and affirmative action, a number of politicians and influencers are turning their attention to another long-held construct, no-fault divorce. Right-wing commentators like Steven Crowder and Matt Walsh have ramped up complaints in the recent months that it is too easy for people, specifically women, to get divorces. All states currently have some version of no-fault divorce law, but Republicans in Texas and Nebraska list the dissolution for restriction of no-fault divorce in their state party political platforms. So, right here, I mean, we're 2 paragraphs in, and CNN already does not like the idea of getting rid of no-fault divorce. They're like, nope, do not touch my no-fault divorce. I want to marry and then get a divorce, marry and then get a divorce, marry and then get a divorce. And then realizing that first marriage that you had, that you actually divorced from, was the best out of all of them. And then now you don't want to go back to your ex. So if there was something like a fault divorce, then you wouldn't even have gotten divorced in the very first place. And obviously, there's going to be exceptions to the rule. There is always exceptions to the rule. This is exactly what people don't realize. Exceptions to the rules apply to every single rule, but the exception is not the rule. The exception is merely the exception for a reason. It's an exception. So a small majority of the actual rules don't apply to everybody, okay? I mean, it's just common sense here. So if there is an abusive marriage or something like that they need to get divorced, there's something different about that. But also at the same exact time, we should not be saying, oh, you do not cook, you do not clean, let's get a divorce. No, how about we work out the problem at hand and then we can figure this out. And then if all else fails, there's a full divorce, whoever initiated the divorce. That's right there. If you're in a safe marriage, but the reason why you're getting divorced is a very, very minuscule reason, and it's not actually giving you some sort of death wish, or it's not putting your life at any jeopardy right here, that's when you're going to sit here and say, no, I'm going to work this out. And it's going to be better for society if we have less divorces. So In Louisiana, continuing with the article, in Louisiana, earlier this year, state GOP members deliberated officially backing the dissolution of no-fault divorce, but no decision was made. A lack of full-on legislative attempts to curb the practice hasn't stopped an abundance of conservative anti-divorce rhetoric, or an answering wave of fear from progressives. Nearly minted House Speaker Mike Johnson has been vocal opponent of no-fault divorce, which allows couples to obtain a divorce without proving fault, and without both parties agreeing to the split. In 2016, Surin, he claimed it turned the United States into a completely amoral society, which is completely right, even though they're misquoting him by only allowing him three words. I already agree with what Mike Johnson is saying. There's no-fault divorce. Though no-fault divorce was first legalized more than 50 years ago, it has been long smeared at in conservative circles, who see it as a danger to their their concept of marriage and the American family. Okay, but the thing is, then that's not just their image, that's actually reality. If we're sitting here saying that most people are growing up without a father in their homes, that's a sad reality and that's a sad fact. But if they never got divorced in the very first place, their father would still be in the home with that son or with that daughter. So now what are you saying? You're saying that these kids have to grow up without a father just merely because of the fact that the mom wanted to divorce over the fact that she was cooked the wrong meal or some stupid reason like that? Work out your differences and don't get married in the very first place if you're not going to stay with that partner. If you're not going to stay with your husband, or if you're not going to stay with your wife for the rest of your life, like you said at the altar, then why are you even going to get married in the very first place? That's the question here. Not, oh, how can I get married and then just get a divorce? No. What you are going to do is think about your actions and think about the consequences of your actions before doing them. That's exactly what we teach kindergartners to do. So why are we having to sit here and explain actions done by you are actually your fault to adults? That does not make any sense at all. Oh, CNN. CNN is obviously never going to understand common sense because sadly common sense is not so common anymore. Moving on to the next article, we actually have another CNN article. We have Ohio Walmart shooter may have been at least partially inspired by racially motivated violent extremist ideology. That's a mouthful, FBI says. The man who shot 4 people in Ohio Walmart before taking his own life this week may have been at least partially inspired by racially motivated violent extremist ideology, the FBI said on Wednesday, citing that it says that there was shooter's journal writings and other evidence. Okay, so they're so quick to say this. They're so quick to say, oh wait, this is extremist ideology. But the extremist ideology that the Nashville shooter at the charter school, that was not released immediately. But instead, we had to wait months and months and months until the journal, the manifesto that the shooter actually made, actually got released and leaked. Not because of the fact that the FBI wanted to release it, but merely because of the fact that it got leaked. So why are we going to sit here and say, oh my God, this is an extremist right here. This person that entered the store and shot a couple people is the extremist, but not the people that not the person that went into a school, a Christian school, and shot up a bunch of kids. Not that person. We're never going to find out the truth about that person, but this person, oh, we have his whole entire manifesto right here. The day of. It's just ridiculous. Of course, there's a one-sided narrative that the FBI even wants to push now. You thought it was just the media? No, you're sadly mistaken. It's every single government affiliated organization. It's every single media company, and it's every single thing that you look at. Social media, social engineering your mind to actually think a certain way. That's what everybody is doing. Everybody's social engineering your mind to think a certain way. That's exactly why they release all these manifestos right away for people that are on the right hand side, which this person is ousted by any conservative ideologies anyway, because nobody's even going to sit here and say what he did was a good thing. So that has nothing to do with conservatism. But on the left, it's different. On the left, they're sitting here saying, oh my God, we want to eat the rich. Oh my God, we need to sit here and kill our enemies. We need to have repercussions for what you're saying. Words are violent. That's what the left says. But the right, on the other hand, does not say that words are violent. The right says, if you touch me or you invade my house, then that's violent, and I will take extensive action to protect me and my family. The left says, oh no, if you assume my gender and you got the gender wrong, then I'm going to hurt you. That's exactly what we see on TikTok. So what's going on here? Inspired by racially motivated violent extremist ideology. That's a mouthful again. The FBI will continue to investigate the motivating factors leading to this attack. Jones also had 2 Nazi flags at his home. CNN affiliate reported on Thursday investigators found the SS history book, a shooting complex card, handwritten notes, a laptop, and an external hard drive, according to WHIO. Farborn police said that they were called to Jones's home in April and May 2022, and Jones told officers he was suicidal. Quote, both times was pink slipped and taken to Sion Medical Center, police said, according to Daily News. Pink slips are generally used to involuntarily admit patients to hospitals. People, quote, committed to any medical institution are not allowed to have a firearm, according to the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. CNN has reached out to Farborn and Beeve Creek police for more information. Jones used a high point 45 caliber carbine with a 9-round magazine in the shooting, the FBI said, which does not make any sense why they even included the weapon that he used, because it does not matter. Guns don't kill people, people kill people. If you have a gun just laying on the counter, that's not going to kill anybody. What is going to kill somebody is the neglectfulness that people have for the gun safety of that gun. If they have a full gun, or if they have a gun fully unloaded, fully safe because you can see inside of the gun, they have the red flag inside of the gun, so you can see inside that there's nothing. You take it up, you look at it, you have it on the counter, that's not going to shoot anything. There's no bullet in there to even shoot. But if you have a loaded gun sitting on the counter, an accident can happen and you have the safety off, an accident can happen. It's possible. But of course, we need to take safety precautions of this, and we need to make sure that we're actually using safe gun safety to make sure that we're staying safe within these in front of guns and stuff like that. Don't point your gun at people is number one. If you don't point your gun at anybody, it's not going to happen. Nobody's going to get hurt. So, like I said, guns don't kill people, people kill people. The weapon was purchased on November 18, 2023 from a store in Dayton area. The FBI said investigators are continuing to look at the background of the subject to determine if any of his answers on the ATF Form 4473 were inaccurate. Even if they were inaccurate, what does that have to say about you guys? You guys actually filled out and actually looked at this paperwork and approved him. It says about the FBI in that area. Not the forms, not the, oh, we need more background searches. We have background searches and it failed if it was inaccurate. The investigation remains very active as the FBI thoroughly examines the attacker's background, motive, connections, and online activity, the FBI added. The FBI should have just shut their mouth when it came to this talking point that CNN is now using, at least partially motivated by extremist ideologies. How authorities say that the shooting unfolded. Witnesses saw Jones of Dayton holding a rifle and then walking through the store, appearing to shoot indiscriminately at patrons, Lindsay said on Tuesday. Quote, no shots were fired at responding officers, police said on social media. The victims were taken to nearby hospitals for treatment. Captain Scott Mulliner said in a news briefing on Monday, 2 victims have since been released and 2 other hospitalized in stable conditions. Beaver police said on November 27th, the gunshot injuries sustained by the victims appeared to be largely random, Lindsay said, and the wounds were throughout all different parts of the body. Okay, so now he's targeting random people. How's that at least partly targeted? CNN, you just contradicted yourself in your very article. So why do you still have the talking point of the title in your article if you contradicted yourself later on in the article? Does not make any sense here. So, moving on to the next article, we actually have something that actually makes less sense than CNN, and that's MSNBC. How feminists have failed Israeli victims of sexual violence. So, this right here is the very first article that I actually saw CNN or MSNBC, same exact company anyway, but MSNBC actually doing a good job at journalism. Read with me. The skepticism that met Israeli woman claims perpetrators' traditions of dehumanizing Jews. Okay? Anyone who watched the first horrifying videos of Hamas's attacks on Israeli citizens on October 7th could randomly assume that sexual violence was at least part of the terror campaign. Bystanders recounted the rapes of friends at Supernova Music Festival, further reporting he supplied more details of the extraordinary brutal picture of sexual assaults that took place. And while sexual trauma is often hard to document because of shame, bias, and a lack of witness, the director of Israeli Commission on Hamas, October 7th Crimes Against Women, argues for more resources to document this evidence, but unsparingly relays that the problem here is simpler. Many of these victims cannot speak up because they are dead. Some of them, forensic evidence suggests, were posthumously violated again. In times of war and peace, rape is always a crime. Sexual violence on the battlefield perpetrated against women, children, and men remains perhaps the ultimate most intrusive way of asserting dominance. And the international law in the last 3 decades has criminalized this behavior more strongly. Here in the United States, breaches of sexual consent in civilian life, intimate partner violence, street harassment, workplace proportions, etc., have increasingly come off to understood as existing on a common with stranger rape, all of which merit redress. Feminist activists can largely take credit for this formidable progress on all fronts. So why, then, in the moment when statements of solidarity fly fast and furious, have feminists and their progressive allies not been more outspoken about the grotesque sexual violence visited upon Israeli women on October 7th? Many feminist organizations rush to express support for the Palestinian cause while idolizing the fight of Israeli victims. The organization United Nations Women issued a 4-page report last month exclusively addressing the impact of war on women and girls in Gaza, but only made a brief condemnation of the October 7th attack that made no mention of sexual violence that had been reported. A group of prominent scholars circulated a letter under the title Feminists for a Free Palestine without explicitly condemning the sexual violence against Israeli women. College campus groups have furnished other examples, such as women students groups at Harvard that signed onto a letter holding Israel entirely responsible for the October 7th attacks, or the now former director of the University of Altamira Sexual Assault Center signing on to a letter doubting the veracity of the accounts of Israeli rape survivors. Even the office of my own campus that is devoted to helping students lead social justice-centered lives issued thousands of words in solidarity with the Palestinians and did not once acknowledge the sexual violence or murder or abomination perpetrated by Hamas. And then there are the familiar conversations like those on that Marian Sculler, the executive director of Tel Aviv Crisis Center, reports having with friends who style themselves champions of human rights, feminism, and social justice. Their words, not mine, but who, quote, have been bending over backwards just to justify atrocities and rationalize rape. This is tragic minimalization or justification in some cases of violence against Israeli women appears to be a result of ideological turn among some feminists and progressives that elevates the anti-racist agenda above the core feminist commitment to defend the universal right to bodily autonomy for all women. This argument contends that because Israel is a colonial power oppressing the Palestinians, any resistance is a justified demonstration of decolonization. The, quote, settler colonization concept that undergirds this position, however, is insignificant to categorize a complex conflict between two majority non-white peoples who both have long-standing claims to be considered land. When such a theory serves to excuse rape, it is simply undefensible. This impulse importantly comes from an inspired place, the effort by Western feminists to depart from the moment's long history of racial exclusivity. At the inception of the 19th 19th century, white women fought for their own suffrage at the expense of black infringement, and for decades often uncritically sought personal achievement within political and labor systems that excluded women of color. Rape was an area in which the racial disparity was most accurately felt, and while multiracial feminist coalitions have formed most powerfully, especially since 1970s, non-white and working-class women have long been disbelieved. When they accuse men of rape, black women are considered inviolable because they were either categorized as property during slavery or deemed lacking in virtue. Okay, so this was actually back then. This is not true now. Now, obviously, MSNBC has to have their own spin on it and ruin the whole entire article. But the thing is, the first half of this article is completely right. We need to actually pay attention. What happened to believe all women, and then not believe these women that were actually raped on camera? There's actual video of these women being raped. And then as soon as they're done being raped, while the guy is still inside of the woman, he shoots the woman. And then their pelvis is broken from the amount of sex that they have been subjected to when they are dead. It's just disgusting. Moving into the next article, though, something a little bit more light, we can actually see another Daily Wire article. We have Ducey corners press secretary on Bidenomics. Americans outside of this building are not buying it. Fox News White House correspondent Peter Ducey cornered press secretary Karine Jean-Pierre during Monday's briefing, asking whether she truly believed that the American people could feel the economy improving. Ducey pressed Jean-Pierre on the topic, beginning with a tongue-in-cheek question about whether families had commented, while sitting around their Thanksgiving tables, about how much less expensive things have gotten. And this is actually the video right here, so let's see it.
On lowering prices, you said earlier that the actions the president has taken have worked. So is it your sense that when people were home for Thanksgiving, catching up with their family members, they were saying to each other, can you believe how much more affordable things have gotten?
So honestly, I wouldn't, I hear the question, but I want to make sure this is very clear. We take that very seriously.
Oh, we take this question so seriously that we have increased every single aspect of your life. You're welcome.
What families, the decisions that they make at their kitchen table, whether it's during Thanksgiving or whether it is every month as they're trying to make hard decisions about how they move forward with taking care of their family, we take that very seriously. It's not a joke to us. It is important to us. This is the president who talks about it in a very personal way when he talks about what families have to go through, working families.
We take this seriously. We talk about it. Can you just get to the point?
Middle-class families, and that's why he's taking actions that he has. And so, look, the fact is, the data shows that the economy is improving. The data shows that households remain in a strong financial position. Household wealth is at a record high, with lower income households seeing the largest gains since the pandemic. Those are in.
Okay, so I'm going to stop you right there. We took a look at the electric prices at the beginning of this video, and they increased. We looked at the gas prices from each person's first year in office, or the first full year in office. This is January. It increased. We saw a look at the egg prices comparatively to these two presidents, Trump and Biden. From Trump in 2017 to Biden in 2021. We saw the difference in these two people. We saw the difference in prices that these two people created for the economy. We saw that people went from 58% invested in the stock market to an overall greater increase in the stock market because the stock market was doing so great under Trump. But now under Biden, all the stocks are collapsing, the economy is falling apart, and the world is going into war with each other. We have 3 different wars at our back door. So what is it that you guys are doing to help the American people on a holiday? You're instead releasing talking points to use against your quote-unquote conservative uncle. That's what the White House is concerned about. But let's see what she is so concerned about, because it's so important to the Joe Biden administration that you can afford your groceries.
What we're seeing. but we don't take lightly. We actually do not take lightly what Americans and families continue to feel. That's why the president at 2:00 is going to talk about what the actions that he's taking to continue to lower
Oh,
the
okay.
cost.
So we take this, and that's it for the article. This is it for the clip, by the way. She doesn't go farther. We take this so seriously that we're gonna take it seriously. And if you need to hear Joe Biden say this in his own words, he's going to say it in his own words. That's gonna sum up the video right there for you. I mean, that's just Jen Sucky, or what's her name? Jen Sucky. Yeah, she was a lot better at this instead of Karine Jean-Pierre. Karine Jean-Pierre is going to just sit here and just make up lies, lie to your face, act all excited. Look at these prices. Eggs are down 22%. Milk is down 1.8%. Bacon is down 5.1%. Fresh vegetables are down 2.22%. Airline tickets are down 13.2%. And car rentals are down 9.6%. Toys are down 3.7%. Everything's down, guys. Why are you complaining? From what? From October 22 to October 2023. But how about we look at even a greater distance from that? How about we look at, the first year under Trump compared to the first year under Joe Biden? Or we can look at the last year in Trump's office, 2022, the last full year, compared to this year, 2023. Everything has gone up astronomically. So, I mean, it's just a straight up lie. Like Joe Biden likes to say, lying dog-faced pony soldier. Why are we lying at this point? Because of the fact that they know that everything has increased in prices and nobody will vote for them because everything is increasing so much astronomically. Moving on to another article, we actually have a Daily Wire article. We have Iranian drone harasses United States aircraft carrier in the Gulf. An Iranian drone harassed an United States aircraft carrier in the Persian Gulf on Tuesday, according to the United States defense official. The incident comes after Iranian terrorist proxies in the region have hijacked and attempted to hijack cargo ships and tankers in recent weeks that are tied to Israel. This is quoting from a Fox News correspondent. An Iranian drone flew near the USS Eisenhower in the Persian Gulf today. The IC was in international waters. The Iranian drone ignored multiple warnings. This is being deemed unsafe and unprofessional. One of the videos that were circulated on social media this week purported to show footage from an Iranian drone that was harassing that same carrier strike group. The footage appears to correlate the statements from an official on Iranian's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC, who said that the drone's perseverance interfered with United States helicopter operations, according to Iranian state-run Fars News agency. Satellite imagery from this week showed the carrier's spike group only 62 miles away from Iran, a clear sign from the United States that Iran should not escalate tensions in the region. However, the message does not seem to be heard by Iran, as its terrorist proxies have launched at least 74 attacks against United States forces in the region since October 17, a little after Hamas's unprecedented terrorist attack against Israel. Dozens of United States soldiers have received concussions from the missile rocket, a drone bombardment at United States installations in Iraq and Syria. Many have suffered from even more serious traumatic brain injuries. The United States has reported by striking some facilities that Iran and its proxies use in Syria, but have refrained from punching back hard against the world's leading state sponsor of terrorism. The New York Times reported that Biden has, quote, rejected more aggressive bombing options proposed by the Pentagon to keep United States forces safe because he was afraid of provoking Iran. But they're provoking first. So what is this? They can attack all of our people, but we can't attack their people? Senator Tom Cotton, Republican from Arizona, said on Sunday that there was only one way to stop the attacks, would be to launch a massive retaliation to make it clear that we will not tolerate these attacks on Americans. And I completely agree. This is peace through strength, okay? If you have something over there saying, listen, guys, you do not want to get involved, and then they're provoking the people that are trying to keep the peace, that right there is not going to be put up with by America. Now, moving on to the next article, we actually have a Federalist article. We have 4 of the mostly moral, bankrupt lies anti-Israel pundits are spreading about hostage swap. Terrorist sympathizers are spreading fake news as Israel executives swap with Hamas for hostages taken by a terrorist group on October 7th. The terrorist sympathizers are out in full force spreading fake news about Israelis' treatment of the prisoners as the country executes a swap with Hamas for hostage taken by the terrorist group on October 7th. Here are 4 of the most outrageous lies circulating on social media. Quote, Israel is only country that keeps children as prisoners. This week, American supermodel Gigi Hadid shared a post to more than her 79 million Instagram followers condemning Israel as, quote, the only country in the world that keeps children as prisoners of war. The post, which has now been deleted, claimed Palestinian terrorist Hamad Mansoura was quote-unquote abducted by Israeli officials at 12 years old and has endured solitary confinement despite his severe health condition. According to the New York Post, Mansoura went on a stabbing rampage in East Jerusalem with his 15-year-old cousin in 2015 that left a 20-year-old security guard and a 13-year-old boy with critical conditions. Mansoura was convicted of 2 counts of attempted manslaughter after his cousin was killed in the attack by a police officer. Quote, he initially received a sentence of 12 years in prison, which was later reduced to 9.5 years, the Post reported. During his incarceration, Mansoura has reportedly attempted to harm himself and others. He had been in and out of solitary confinement, drawing a ire for Amnesty International, a non-governmental human rights advocacy group. A terrorist sympathizing aside, Hadid's post claiming Israel is the only country in the world that keeps children as prisoners of war, quote-unquote, is fake news on its face. Roughly 30 children, some of whom still remain in captivity nearly 2 months later, were taken hostage by Hamas after the terrorist group slaughtered Israeli women and children on October 7th, massacre which killed at least 1,200 people. Unsurprisingly, child hostages held by Hamas have been subjected to physical and emotional abuse. A 12-year-old was even reportedly placed in solitary confinement for more than 2 weeks. We can see videos here. So I'm not lying. I'm not going to see the video because I'm going to be too heartbroken, but you can go out and see the video yourself. This is Ari Cohen on Twitter. Hamas forced hostages to watch videos of the 7/10 atrocities. This is Ian 13. He spent 51 as a hostage of Hamas terrorists killed his father in front of him and took him to Gaza. While held hostage, Hamas forced him to view videos of the 7/10 atrocities. Israel at fault for injuries sustained by suicide bomb. So, in another episode of terrorist sympathizing disinformation, anti-Israel pundits spread false narratives online about Asura Jarabs, who was released from Israeli custody in a prisoner swap on Monday. They claimed Jarab's disfigured condition was a result of Israeli brutality after nearly a decade of incarceration. So we can see here, oh my god. Okay, so obviously, these pictures, I don't even know if I can show this picture. So obviously, the picture of her is completely different from what she once was. And this is because of those who do not know who this is. This is a picture before and after what the Israeli Defense Forces have done to her, written one user on X. The side-by-side, I'm going too much ahead of myself because this was a suicide bombing in 2015, and she attempted to kill civilians, okay? She did that to herself. Israel War Room tweeted. She tried and failed to blow herself up with innocent Israelis. So who does she have to blame but herself? Nobody. She decided to do this. So why are we sitting here saying, oh no, Israel did this to her? No, she did this to herself. This is what bombing does to you. You try to bomb, you have a bomb on your chest and you're going into a building trying to bomb the place and then you blow up because you're a suicide bomber. Suicide bombers are not just men in these countries. They do not care. And I hate the people that say, they are people that don't even have guns. They have guns. And they have suicide bombs connected to them if they don't have guns. Number 3, Hamas held hostages in reasonable conditions. Dominic Wangan, the international affairs editor for Sky News, wrote on X that the hostages held by Hamas were, quote, held in reasonable conditions. Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar met with Israeli hostages a day after they were taken in tunnels under Gaza and told them they would not be harmed and would be returned as part of a hostage deal, Waghorn wrote. Undermines the Israel-Hamas equals ISIS storyline. Testimony from released prisoners, however, has revealed horrors endured by those held captive. Hostages were reportedly forced to use plastic chairs for beds and were given irregular meals. One 84-year-old hostage was even hospitalized in critical condition upon being released. Number 4. Israeli hostages looks thankful for captivity. Mary Capel, who claims in her bio on X to be international relations analyst and journalist, contended that a released Israeli hostage looked appropriate to her captors. Quote, I'm not a facial expression expert, Captel professed on X. By judging by her look in her eyes and her expression on her face, I would say that this is the look of appreciation and thanks. Might be that she is saying thanks for being treated unexpectedly well while in captivity, Campbell asked. A community note on the platform clarifies that the hostage in the photo, Maya Relief, was shot by Palestinian terrorists before her abduction. Yeah, I mean, I think she's more glad to be actually released. She's not glad that she was taken. She's glad to be released because now she's going to get the help that she needs because she was shot. So this is just ridiculous at its face. But we're going to sum up this episode here. And yes, I cannot end it on good news because sadly, not every single day we have good news. And that's the sad reality of the world. But with that being said, we're going to end up this episode here. If you do want to see more episodes made by me in the Original Studios, subscribe down below because I do post new episodes of the show every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And stay tuned because Friday we are launching my brand new company. Thank you all for watching and I hope that you have a great rest of your day. Bye.